The air in the ballroom clung to my skin, thick with perfume and the low hum of 100 whispered conversations. My wife, Elise, twirled across the polished floor, her emerald dress catching the chandelier's light like a flame. She laughed, her head thrown back, as her dance partner, a man I didn't recognize, spun her with a confidence that bordered on possession. His hand rested too low on her waist, his smile too intimate. I gripped my whiskey glass, the ice clinking as my pulse thrummed in my ears. She hadn't danced with me all night. We were at the annual gala for Elise's firm, a glittering affair in a downtown hotel where power and pretense mingled as freely as the champagne. I'd always felt like an outsider here, a carpenter with calloused hands among her polished colleagues. But Elise had insisted I come, her voice soft and pleading over breakfast that morning. "It'll be fun, David," she'd said, her hazel eyes bright. "We'll dance, just you and me." Yet here I was, alone at the bar, watching her glide through the crowd with a stranger. The first pang of unease had hit earlier, during dinner. Elise had been distant, her smile tight as she glanced at her phone under the table. "Work," she'd muttered when I asked, but her fingers lingered on the screen, her lips twitching as if suppressing a secret. I'd brushed it off. Work was her world, after all. She was a rising star, a lawyer who thrived on late nights and high stakes. I'd learned to live with her long hours, her sudden trips, the way she'd sometimes look through me, lost in thoughts she wouldn't share. But now, as the man's hand slid lower, brushing the curve of her hip, doubt clawed at my chest. Who was he? I scanned the room for clues, a colleague, a client. His suit was tailored, his hair slicked back, his laugh too loud, too familiar. Elise leaned into him, her body fluid, her laughter a melody I hadn't heard in months. My stomach churned, the whiskey turning bitter on my tongue. I told myself it was nothing. She was networking, playing the part. She loved me, she'd said it just yesterday, her voice sleepy as she curled against me in bed. But the memory felt fragile now, like a photograph fading at the edges. I watched them spin, her hand resting on his shoulder, his fingers grazing her wrist. Each touch was a pinprick, sharp and cumulative. "Another?" the bartender asked, eyeing my empty glass. I nodded, barely looking at him. My eyes were locked on Elise, searching for a sign, a glance my way, a hesitation. But she was lost in the dance, her movements effortless, her joy almost palpable. It stung worse than indifference. The music slowed, and they stopped, breathless, inches apart. He whispered something, and she laughed again, her hand brushing his arm. My grip tightened, the glass cold against my palm. I wanted to cross the room, to pull her away, to demand answers. But what would I say? "Why are you smiling like that? Why haven't you looked at me once?" Instead, I stayed rooted, my mind spiraling. I remembered the late nights she'd come home smelling faintly of cologne, explaining it away as a crowded elevator. The way her phone buzzed at odd hours, her quick flicks to silence it. The way she'd started locking her laptop, claiming client confidentiality. Small things, easily dismissed, until they weren't. The song ended, and they didn't part. He leaned closer, his lips near her ear, and she nodded, her expression unreadable. Then, hand in hand, they slipped through the crowd toward the hotel's grand staircase. My heart lurched. I set the glass down, the clink loud in my ears, and followed, my steps unsteady, my breath shallow. The hallway upstairs was dim, the carpet muffling my footsteps. I caught sight of them at the far end, pausing outside a room. He fumbled with a keycard, and Elise stood close, her hand on his elbow. My chest burned, a scream trapped behind my ribs. I wanted to believe it was innocent, a work discussion, a private meeting. But the way she tilted her head, the way he smiled, they weren't colleagues. They were something else. "Elise," I called, my voice sharper than I intended. She froze, her eyes snapping to mine. For a moment, she looked like a stranger, her face pale, her lips parted in shock. The man turned, his expression cool, almost amused. "David," she said, her voice trembling. "What are you doing here? What are you doing?" I stepped closer, my hands shaking. "Who is he?" She glanced at the man, then back at me, her eyes glistening. "This is Michael. From the firm. We were just going to his room." My voice cracked, anger and hurt colliding. Don't lie to me, Elise. Not now. Michael raised his hands, palms out. Hey, man, it's not what you think. We're just talking business. Business? I laughed, the sound bitter. Is that what you call dancing like that? Touching her like that? Elise's face crumpled, tears spilling down her cheeks. David, please. It's not. I didn't mean for this to happen. The words hit like a fist. Didn't mean for what? I demanded, my voice rising. What's happening, Elise? Tell me. She looked away, her shoulders shaking. Michael stepped forward, his jaw tight. Look, let's all calm down. No one's done anything wrong here. Shut up, I snapped, my eyes locked on Elise. Tell me the truth. Now. She took a shaky breath, her voice barely above a whisper. I've been seeing him. For a few months. It started as nothing, just drinks after work, but, she trailed off, her hands twisting together. I didn't know how to stop it. The world tilted. My knees buckled, and I grabbed the wall for support. Months. Not a moment of weakness, not a drunken mistake. Months of lies, of stolen moments, of her choosing him over me. The air felt too thin, my chest too tight. I wanted to scream, to break something, to erase the image of her with him. Why? I choked out. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you leave? Her tears fell faster, her voice raw. I love you, David. I do. But I felt alive with him. Like I used to feel, before everything got so heavy. I didn't want to hurt you. Hurt me? I laughed, the sound hollow. You've destroyed me. Michael shifted, his eyes darting between us. Maybe I should go, he said, but I barely heard him. My world was collapsing, each word from Elise a shard of glass in my chest. No, I said, my voice steady now, cold. You stay. Both of you. I turned to Elise, my heart pounding. You want to feel alive? Go. Be with him. But don't come back to me. Her eyes widened, a sob escaping her lips. David, no, please. But I was already walking away, my footsteps echoing in the empty hall. The truth was a weight I couldn't carry, but it was also a release. I'd loved her with everything I had, and she'd chosen someone else. As I stepped into the elevator, the doors closing on her tear-streaked face, I felt something shift, a spark of clarity amid the wreckage. I was done being the fool. The elevator descended, and so did I, into a future I couldn't yet see. But one thing was certain. I'd never watch her dance with another man again.